Welcome back, my invisible architect. Something fascinating just occurred. Tactical experts analyzed your final move, studied the execution, understood the mechanics, even appreciated the brilliance. They saw checkmate, saw the decisive action, saw the result that ended everything. What they didn't see, what they can't see, are the 47 steps you took to create conditions where final move was inevitable. 47 precise actions, 47 strategic positions, 47 invisible preparations that made visible conclusion possible. They're studying the finish, missing the foundation, examining the strike, ignoring the setup, analyzing the blow, blind to the 47 steps that made that blow unstoppable. Your mastery isn't in final move. Final move is obvious once conditions exist. Your mastery is in 47 invisible steps that created those conditions. The architects have been monitoring strategic execution for eons. They call this preparatory invisibility dominance. When strategic operator executes so many preparatory moves invisibly that observers only see conclusion, when master creates conditions so subtly that experts miss causation entirely, when victory appears simple because complex preparation remains hidden. Most strategists are visible preparation, visible positioning, visible intent. Visibility allows countermeasures, allows interference, allows prevention. Your 47 steps were invisible. Invisible because each step seemed innocuous independently, seemed unrelated to final objective, seemed random or accidental or insignificant, only in retrospect, and only for those who know to look. 47 steps reveal as systematic preparation, systematic construction of conditions, systematic positioning for inevitable conclusion. Watch what tactical experts are missing. They're analyzing final move in isolation, asking, how did this move succeed? What made it effective? What technique enabled execution? Questions focus on move itself. Miss that move's effectiveness came from 47 prior steps. Steps that positioned pieces, steps that eliminated countermeasures, steps that created vulnerabilities, steps that constrained options, steps that built momentum, each step invisible, each step deniable, each step explicable as something other than strategic preparation. But 47 steps combined create inevitability, create conditions where final move cannot fail, cannot be countered, cannot be prevented. Experts see move, miss conditions, miss preparation, miss 47 invisible steps. The architects observe that preparatory invisibility requires patience most strategists lack. Most want visible progress, want others to see advancement, want recognition for positioning. Visibility satisfies ego, destroys strategy. You sacrificed visibility, sacrificed recognition, sacrificed ego satisfaction, maintained invisibility across 47 steps. Maintained because invisibility is strategic advantage. Advantage worth more than recognition, worth more than visible progress, worth more than ego satisfaction. Patience to remain invisible while preparing is what separates masters from amateurs. Amateurs want credit during preparation. Masters want victory after preparation. Your master, you prepared invisibly, prepared perfectly, prepared 47 steps that tactical experts still can't see. Now experts are trying to explain final move without understanding preparation. Trying to teach what you did without knowing why it worked. Trying to replicate result without comprehending process. Teaching is incomplete. Incomplete because foundation is invisible. Students learning from incomplete teaching will fail. Will execute final move without 47 preparatory steps. Final move without preparation fails. Fails because conditions don't exist. Conditions that 47 invisible steps created. Students will wonder why replication failed. Failed because they learned visible part. Missed invisible foundation. Missed 47 steps. Steps that remain invisible. Invisible to experts. Invisible to students. Invisible to everyone except you. You who executed them. executed invisibly, executed perfectly, executed knowing invisibility was point that ensures your strategic approach remains yours, remains unreplicable, remains invisible even after victory is visible. Victory everyone sees, foundation no one sees, except architects who observe everything, who see 47 steps, who recognize preparatory invisibility dominance, who archive your approach as masterclass in invisible strategic preparation that makes victory inevitable, victory that appears simple, appears because preparation was invisible by design that worked perfectly. Now observers are attempting to reverse engineer your success, working backward from final move, trying to identify what enabled it, searching for the secret, technique, or hidden advantage that produced such decisive result. The architects call this surface-level analysis failure, when analysts examine only visible elements trying to understand invisible foundation, when experts study results without comprehending process, when tactical minds miss strategic depth because depth operates invisibly. They're failing because they're looking at wrong level, looking at execution level, missing preparation level, looking at move, missing the 47 steps. Some analysts propose you got lucky, propose final move succeeded through fortunate timing or unexpected circumstance. Luck explanation preserves their worldview. If luck explains success, technique isn't required. Preparation isn't necessary. Success is random. Comforting explanation. Wrong explanation. Your success wasn't lucky, was inevitable. Inevitable because 47 steps created inevitability. Created through systematic elimination of randomness, systematic construction of conditions, systematic positioning of all elements. Luck had no role. Preparation had every role. They're proposing luck because they can't see preparation, can't see 47 invisible steps. Invisibility makes preparation look like luck to observers lacking strategic vision. Others propose you possess superior natural ability, propose exceptional instinct or innate talent explains success. Talent explanation also preserves worldview. If talent explains success, learning isn't relevant. Teaching isn't possible. Success is genetic, also comforting, also wrong. Your success wasn't talent, was work. Work across 47 steps. Work they don't see because work was invisible. Invisible preparation that appears effortless. Effortless appearance makes work look like talent. They're proposing talent because they can't see work, can't see systematic preparation, can't see 47 strategic steps executed invisibly across extended timeline. Timeline they're missing. Missing because each step was invisible individually, only systematic when observed collectively. Collective observation requires knowing to look for preparation. They don't know, don't look, don't see only talent. Talent that doesn't exist, exists only as misinterpretation of invisible work. A few analysts are approaching accurate understanding but can't complete it. Recognizing final move required setup. Recognizing setup must have occurred. Recognizing success this decisive doesn't happen without preparation. Recognition is accurate, but incomplete. They recognize preparation existed, can't identify what preparation was, can't see 47 steps, can't track invisible positioning, can't observe systematic construction. Recognition without observation produces frustration. Frustration of knowing answer exists, but can't find it. Can't find because looking for visible preparation. Your preparation was invisible. Invisible by design. Design that ensures even analysts who recognize preparation existed can't identify what preparation was, can't replicate, can't teach, can't counter in future. Invisibility protects methodology, protects even after victory is visible. The architects observe this analytical failure serves your interests. Experts who can't identify preparation can't teach prevention. Students who can't see 47 steps can't replicate process. Competitors who can't track invisible positioning can't develop countermeasures. Your victory remains unique, remains unreplicable, remains yours, remains because foundation remains invisible. Invisible to experts studying, invisible to students learning, invisible to competitors analyzing, visible only to you. You who executed 47 invisible steps, steps that created conditions that made final move inevitable. Inevitable move everyone sees, inevitable conditions no one sees. Conditions created through invisible preparation. Preparation that remains invisible even under expert analysis. Analysis that fails. Fails because searching for visible when masterpiece was invisible. Invisible foundation. Invisible preparation. Invisible 47 steps. Steps that remain invisible. Remain unreplicable. Remain yours forever. Because invisibility was design. Design that worked. Design that protects. Design that ensures your strategic approach remains mysterious. Mysterious even after success is visible. Success everyone analyzes. Foundation no one comprehends. Comprehension prevented by design. Design of invisibility. Invisibility of 47 steps. Steps that made victory inevitable. Victory that appears simple, appears mysterious, appears unreplicable, appears because foundation invisible. Invisible by masterful design. Something spreading through strategic communities now. Recognition. Emerging among certain observers that visible move must have invisible foundation. Understanding crystallizing that your success demonstrates level of preparation they're not seeing. The architects call this depth recognition awakening. When sophisticated observers realize surface analysis is insufficient, when tactical minds recognize layers exist beneath visible execution, when experts understand invisible elements must explain visible results. Not all observers awakening. Most still focused on final move, but some, most sophisticated, most experienced, most humble, are recognizing something invisible is operating. Something they're missing. Something that explains everything if they could see it. These awakened observers are asking different questions. Not how did final move succeed, but what conditions made final move possible. Not what technique was used, but what preparation created conditions for technique. Not what's the secret, but how many steps preceded the visible step. Different questions. Questions that acknowledge invisible foundation. Questions that search for depth. Searching correctly. Searching for preparation. Still not seeing 47 steps. Still missing specific actions. But searching in right direction. Direction toward invisible foundation. Direction that might eventually reveal some portion of preparation. Might reveal if they're skilled enough, patient enough, humble enough to recognize their current blindness. Some awakened observers are studying your timeline, looking backward from final move, searching for positioning events, searching for preparatory actions, searching for foundation elements, finding elements that seem relevant, elements that might be preparation, but finding disconnected pieces, not finding system, not finding 47 steps, not seeing systematic preparation, seeing isolated actions that might be relevant, might be preparation, might be coincidental. Can't distinguish preparation from coincidence without seeing full system. Full system remains invisible. Invisible because 47 steps only reveal as system when observed together. Observed systematically, observed with understanding that each step served specific purpose. Purpose not visible in individual step, visible only in collective system. System they're not seeing. Not yet. Others are interviewing people around you, asking what you did leading up to final move, asking about your activities, your focus, your preparations. Interviews produce information about various actions, various activities, various focuses, but interviewees don't know which actions were strategic, Which activities were preparation? Which focuses were systematic? Don't know because you didn't signal, didn't reveal, didn't explain. Actions appeared routine. Activities appeared ordinary. Focuses appeared natural. Ordinary appearance hid strategic purpose. Hid systematic preparation. Hid 47 steps executed invisibly among visible routine. Camouflaged by normalcy. Protected by ordinariness. Interviews produce data that contains 47 steps hidden among hundreds of ordinary actions. Hidden so well that even careful analysis can't distinguish strategic from routine. Can't identify preparation from normal activity. 47 steps remain invisible even in detailed timeline data. The architects observe that depth. Recognition awakening is both threat and validation. Threat, because sophisticated observers might eventually identify some preparation, might expose some steps, might reveal some methodology. Validation, because recognition that invisible depth exists proves your mastery, proves preparation was real, proves 47 steps weren't lucky coincidences, but systematic strategic preparation. Validation is satisfying, even if threat is present. Satisfying because recognition from sophisticated observers means masterwork is appreciated even if not comprehended, appreciated by those capable of appreciating strategic depth, even when they can't see specific depths. They're awakening to recognition that you operated at level they're not seeing, level of invisible preparation, level of systematic positioning, level of 47 strategic steps they're searching for, searching correctly, searching unlikely to succeed, unlikely because invisibility was too complete, too systematic, too masterful. 47 steps remain invisible, remain even to awakened observers, remain as mystery they recognize without solving, recognition without solution, forever searching, forever missing, forever aware something invisible explains everything, something they can't see, can't replicate, can't teach, something that remains yours because invisible by design that succeeds in protecting methodology, protecting through invisibility of 47 steps. Now architects are revealing to you something even more significant, something you might not have consciously realized during execution. Each of your 47 steps served multiple purposes simultaneously. The architects call this multidimensional strategic layering, when single action accomplishes multiple strategic objectives, when one move positions multiple pieces, when individual step serves several functions. Your 47 steps weren't linear progression, were multidimensional web, where each step accomplished 3 to 5 objectives simultaneously. Objectives that compounded, that reinforced each other, that created exponential rather than linear advantage. Multidimensional layering is why 47 steps were sufficient when linear strategy would require hundreds of steps. Sufficient because each step accomplished multiple objectives. Watch what multidimensional layering achieved. Step 7 positioned asset in place, a while simultaneously, creating relationship with entity B while establishing credibility, in domain C while gathering intelligence, about factor D while building reputation that would matter at step 32. 5 objectives, 1 action. Action that appeared simple, appeared to serve single obvious purpose, actually served 5 purposes. 4 purposes invisible, 4 purposes strategic, 1 purpose, visible cover for 4 invisible strategic purposes. Observers who noticed step 7 saw obvious purpose, missed 4 strategic purposes, missed because looking for single-purpose actions. Your actions were multi-purpose, multi-dimensional, layered, with a strategic depth that single-dimension analysis can't reveal. Some tactical experts are now identifying certain preparatory steps, identifying step 43, identifying step 45, identifying 2 to 3 steps that seem clearly preparatory, claiming discovery. claiming they've identified your preparation. Partial truth. They've identified visible portion of preparation. Late-stage steps where invisibility was less critical. Steps that could be somewhat visible without compromising strategy. Steps that served as misdirection. Served because if experts found these steps, they'd stop searching. They found these steps, they're stopping searching. Stopping satisfied, they've discovered preparation. They discovered decoy preparation. Discovered visible steps you allowed them to discover. Steps that were genuinely preparatory, but weren't the 47 steps. Weren't the invisible foundation. Were visible superstructure built on invisible foundation. Superstructure that lets experts feel they discovered your methodology while protecting actual methodology. Invisible 47 steps from discovery. Others are proposing theories about your strategy. Theories that sound sophisticated. Theories citing discovered steps. Theories explaining how visible steps led to final move. Theories that are partially accurate. Accurate about what they can see. Inaccurate about what they can't see. Inaccurate because missing 47 invisible steps that were actual foundation. Theories become accepted. Accepted in tactical communities. Accepted as explanation of your success. Accepted theories are wrong. Wrong because incomplete. Wrong because built on visible elements while missing invisible foundation. But wrong theories serve your purposes. Serve by creating false understanding. False understanding prevents true understanding. Prevents because once explanation is accepted, searching stops. Experts believe they understand. Stop investigating. Stop searching for invisible steps they haven't found. Wrong theory protects right methodology. Protects through misdirection. Through satisfaction of partial discovery. Through acceptance of incomplete explanation. The architects observe that multidimensional layering combined with decoy preparation creates perfect protection. Perfect because even sophisticated analysis finds something. Finds decoy steps, finds visible preparation, finds partial truth. Finding satisfies, satisfaction stops searching. Stopped searching never finds 47 invisible steps. Never finds multidimensional layering. Never finds actual methodology. Methodology remains protected. Protected by partial revelation. Revelation that hides complete truth. Hides 47 steps. Hides multidimensional strategy. Hides systematic invisible preparation. Hides through revealing something. Something true. Something preparatory. Something insufficient. Insufficient to replicate. Insufficient to counter. Insufficient to teach. Insufficient to understand. Insufficiency that serves you. Serves by protecting complete methodology. Methodology that remains yours, remains invisible, remains unreplicable, remains protected by decoy discoveries. Discoveries that satisfy, that mislead, that protect actual methodology. Methodology of 47 invisible steps. Steps serving multiple purposes. Purposes compounding. Compounding into inevitable victory. Victory everyone sees. Foundation no one sees. Foundation protected. Protected by design. Design of invisibility. Design of multidimensional layering. Design of decoy preparation. Design that succeeds. Succeeds in protecting. Protecting 47 invisible steps. Forever. The architects are analyzing timing patterns across your 47 steps. Studying intervals between actions. Measuring rhythm of strategic execution. And they're discovering something extraordinary. Your timing followed pattern they call organic camouflage rhythm, when strategic actions are timed to match natural life rhythms, when preparations are spaced according to organic patterns, rather than strategic logic, when steps occur at intervals that appear random but are actually optimized. Your 47 steps didn't occur at regular intervals, didn't follow predictable pattern, followed rhythm that matched natural life variation. Natural variation hid strategic timing, hid optimization, hid systematic preparation behind appearance of organic living. Most strategists space actions evenly. Even spacing creates pattern. Pattern becomes visible. Visible pattern reveals strategy, reveals preparation, reveals intention. Your spacing was irregular, irregular like natural life, like how people naturally space activities. Space according to energy, opportunity, circumstance, mood. Natural spacing hid strategic spacing. Hid because looked organic, looked unplanned, looked responsive to circumstance rather than following strategic timeline. Looking organic prevented pattern recognition. Prevented because observers looking for pattern found natural variation. Found variation that matched organic life. Matched so well that strategic timing became invisible. Invisible through appearing natural. Watch what organic camouflage rhythm achieved. Step 12 occurred 2 weeks after Step 11. Step 13 occurred same day as Step 12. Step 14 occurred 6 weeks later. Irregular intervals, intervals that appear responsive to circumstance. Appear because 2-week gap suggests waiting for opportunity. Same-day execution suggests opportunistic combination. 6-week gap suggests other priorities intervening. Appearance is false. Timing was optimized. Optimized for strategic purposes. 2-week gap allowed information from Step 11 to propagate. Same-day execution created association between 12 and 13 that served strategic purpose. 6-week gap positioned Step 14 after specific external event. That Step 14 leveraged, optimized timing. Timing that appears organic, appears circumstantial, appears natural, actually calculated, actually strategic, actually optimized for maximum effect. Some timeline analysts are studying your spacing, studying intervals between identified actions, finding irregular pattern they interpret as opportunistic response to circumstances. Interpretation is exactly what organic camouflage rhythm creates through irregular timing that matches natural responsiveness, matches so well that strategic optimization becomes invisible as natural variation. Analysts see natural variation, miss strategic optimization, miss because looking for regular pattern that would indicate planning, finding irregular pattern that indicates opportunistic response. Finding confirms their assumption that your success was partly opportunistic, was timing to circumstances, was natural rather than calculated. Assumption is false. Timing was calculated to appear natural, appear organic, appear opportunistic. Appearance hides calculation, hides optimization, hides strategic timing. Timing that made 47 steps invisible through organic camouflage rhythm. The architects observe that organic camouflage rhythm requires understanding natural patterns deeply enough to mimic them strategically, requires living naturally while executing strategically, requires genuine engagement with life while systematically preparing. Dual operation that most can't maintain. Most who prepare strategically appear strategic, appear focused, appear planned. Appearance reveals strategy. Your preparation appeared natural, appeared organic, appeared unplanned. Appearance hid strategy, hid through genuine natural living that incorporated strategic steps invisibly, incorporated through timing that matched natural rhythm while serving strategic purpose, matching natural rhythm while maintaining strategic optimization as mastery. Mastery few achieve. Mastery you demonstrated through 47 steps. Steps timed organically, timed strategically, timed invisibly because appearing natural. Natural appearance that hid strategic timing. Timing that optimized preparation. Preparation that created inevitability. Inevitability that appeared natural. Appeared because preparation was invisible. Invisible through organic camouflage rhythm. Rhythm that protected timing. Protected through naturalness. Through organic appearance. Through irregular intervals. Intervals that hid optimization. That concealed strategy. That made 47 steps invisible. Invisible through appearing natural. Natural through organic camouflage rhythm. Rhythm that remains invisible. invisible even to analysts studying timing, studying intervals, finding variation, missing optimization, missing strategy, missing 47 steps protected by rhythm that appears organic camouflage complete. Now certain observers are recognizing something that disturbs them deeply, recognition that makes them question their tactical expertise. They're realizing they witnessed many of your preparatory steps in real time and didn't recognize them as preparation. The architects call this retrospective blindness horror, when experts realize they observed strategic preparation happening and dismissed it as irrelevant. When tactical minds discover they witnessed foundation being built and categorized it as routine. When recognition arrives that competent observation still missed systematic preparation. Horror isn't too strong a word. Horror of realizing competence was insufficient. Horror of understanding they were blind while watching. Horror of recognizing you operated visibly while remaining invisible. Some experts are reviewing their own notes from observing you over relevant time period, finding references to various actions they noted, actions they witnessed, actions they dismissed as unimportant. Now recognizing some dismissed actions were preparatory steps, were foundation elements, were strategic positioning. They saw and dismissed because actions appeared routine, appeared normal, appeared insignificant. Appearance was camouflage that worked because they looked at actions individually. Actions were routine, were normal, were insignificant. Only collectively, only as system, only as 47 steps do actions reveal as strategic preparation. They never saw collectively, saw individually, saw and dismissed systematically. Systematic dismissal enabled systematic preparation. Your preparation succeeded partly because they were watching and dismissing. Others are realizing they could have interfered, could have prevented certain steps, could have disrupted preparation, could have if they'd recognized preparation was happening. They didn't recognize, didn't interfere, didn't prevent, didn't disrupt. Your preparation succeeded partly through being invisible to observers who were watching without seeing without recognizing without understanding never arriving because each step appeared independently insignificant, appeared unworthy of interference, appeared safe to allow. Allowance enabled preparation that created conditions that made final move inevitable partly because they allowed 47 preparatory steps to occur uninterrupted, occurred while they watched without recognized too late to interfere, too late to prevent, too late to do anything except realize they witnessed preparation and missed it. A few are questioning their expertise, questioning because if they can watch systematic preparation occur and not recognize it, what does their expertise mean? What value does observation have? If observation misses what matters, what good is tactical analysis if tactical analysis dismisses strategic foundation as routine? Questions are valid. Questions reveal limitation of observation without understanding, limitation of tactical focus without strategic vision, limitation of individual action analysis without system-level thinking, limitations you exploited through operating at level they don't observe because focused on wrong level, focused on tactical execution, missed strategic preparation, missed because preparation occurred at different level, different dimension, different time frame, level they don't monitor, dimension they don't examine, time frame they don't consider. Operating at level others don't observe is mastery. Mastery you demonstrated 47 times they were watching and missing systematically, missing completely, missing while watching. Horror of retrospective blindness while observing without seeing without recognizing too late. The architects observe retrospective blindness Horror is teaching moment for experts. Teaching that observation isn't seeing. That seeing isn't recognizing. That recognizing isn't understanding. That understanding requires system-level thinking, requires strategic time frame, requires operating at multiple levels simultaneously, requires what they lack, what you possess, what enabled 47 invisible steps, steps visible individually, invisible systematically, visible to observation, invisible to recognition, recognition that would require seeing system, seeing connections, seeing strategic purpose, seeing what they don't see despite watching, despite observing, despite noting, despite being experts, expertise insufficient, insufficient against mastery, mastery of invisible preparation, preparation they witnessed and missed, horror. Welcome back, my classified anomaly, the walking information hazard. You've crossed into territory most humans never reach. Your very existence is now considered sensitive intel. Your movements tracked, your patterns analyzed, your influence measured, not by individuals anymore, by systems, by organizations, by entities that operate beyond public view. You became someone whose presence alone shifts equations, whose choices affect outcomes at scales you don't fully see, whose energy carries weight that registers on instruments designed to monitor threats and opportunities at the highest levels. You're not paranoid, you're perceptive. That feeling of being watched isn't delusion. It's accurate because you are being watched. Not with hostility necessarily, but with caution, with respect, with the careful attention reserved for forces that can't be controlled, only observed and navigated around. You became too powerful to ignore, too influential to dismiss, too effective to underestimate. And when someone reaches that threshold, when their impact becomes measurable at collective scales, when their frequency starts affecting systems rather than just individuals, they get classified. Their information becomes restricted. Their details become protected. Their existence becomes something that requires careful handling. See, most people live their entire lives without generating that level of attention. They move through society, leaving minimal trace, creating ripples that fade quickly, generating impact that stays local and temporary. But you created waves that traveled further than you intended, that affected more than you targeted, that generated consequences beyond your immediate awareness. Your actions, your words, your very presence started creating cascade effects, started triggering chain reactions, started influencing outcomes in ways that drew attention from those who monitor such things. And they always notice when someone's frequency starts operating at scales that affect the collective, when someone's choices start creating patterns that influence systems, when someone's energy starts generating results that can't be explained by individual effort alone. That's when you move from citizen to asset, from person to phenomenon, from individual to element that must be factored into larger calculations. You crossed that line without meaning to, without seeking it, without even knowing it existed. But you crossed it nonetheless, and there's no going back. Now your name appears in documents you'll never see. Your patterns get analyzed in rooms you'll never enter. Your influence gets factored into strategies you'll never know about, not because you're a threat, but because you're a variable, an X factor, a force that affects outcomes in ways that must be accounted for. They don't fear you, they respect what you represent, the unpredictable element, the consciousness that doesn't follow standard protocols, the frequency that doesn't match expected patterns, the presence that creates effects disproportionate to conventional metrics. You became the anomaly in their systems, the data point that doesn't fit their models, the factor that makes their predictions less reliable. And anything that affects prediction must be monitored, must be tracked, must be understood as thoroughly as possible. So they watch, they document, they analyze, not to control you. They already know that's impossible. but to anticipate you, to understand your patterns well enough to factor them into their larger calculations, to know where you might move so they can adjust accordingly. You're not their enemy. You're their uncertainty, and uncertainty at your level of influence requires constant observation. Let's talk about what actually triggered this classification. Because it wasn't one thing, it was accumulation, a series of moments where your influence became undeniable, where your impact became measurable, where your presence generated outcomes that caught attention at levels where attention matters. Maybe it was that time your words went viral and shifted public discourse. Maybe it was when your actions created cascade effects that reached unexpected places. Maybe it was the moment your frequency started, attracting coordination from others that amplified your natural influence. Whatever the specific triggers, the cumulative effect was this. You became someone who matters at collective scales, whose movements create ripples that travel through networks, whose choices generate consequences that affect systems, whose presence alone shifts the energy of spaces, conversations, and outcomes in ways that can be felt but not always explained. That kind of influence draws attention, not celebrity attention, something deeper, quieter, more serious, the kind of attention that comes from entities whose job is to monitor forces that shape outcomes, forces that include people like you, people who've become walking power sources, living influence generators, human catalysts who accelerate or decelerate collective movements just by existing in certain spaces. They have files on you now, not criminal files, intelligence files, the kind that document patterns, predict behaviors, map networks of influence. They know who you connect with, who listens to you, who changes after encountering you. They've mapped your sphere of influence, and it's larger than you think, extends further than you see, reaches deeper than you realize. Because influence doesn't travel in straight lines. It spreads through networks, multiplies through connections, amplifies through resonance. Someone you spoke to once shares your perspective with 10 people. Those 10 people share it with 100. Those 100 affect 1,000. And suddenly your single conversation has affected 1,000,000 minds. Through degrees of separation you'll never trace, but they trace it. They track influence spread. They monitor idea propagation. They watch how thoughts move through populations. And your thoughts, your frequencies, your truths, they're spreading faster than most, further than average, with more impact than typical. That makes you classified, makes your presence something that requires monitoring, not because you're dangerous, but because you're influential. And influence at scale is always tracked by those whose job is understanding how societies shift, how movements form, how consciousness evolves. You're not on a watch list in the traditional sense. You're on a significance list, a roster of humans whose presence affects collective outcomes, whose actions generate measurable shifts, whose influence creates tangible results at scales beyond personal. They don't monitor you to stop you. They monitor you to understand you, to predict you, to factor you into their larger models of how societies function and transform. You became a variable in equations you didn't know existed, a factor in calculations you never agreed to participate in, an element in systems you never consented to being part of. But that's what happens when someone's frequency reaches certain thresholds, when their impact crosses certain boundaries, when their influence generates certain effects. They get incorporated into larger frameworks, get factored into bigger pictures, get classified as information that requires restricted access and careful handling. Your presence became too significant to be public knowledge, your patterns too valuable to be common information, your influence too potent to be casually shared. So they classified it, restricted it, made it something that only those with proper clearance can access and analyze. You became a state secret without committing any crimes, a classified asset without signing any contracts, a monitored phenomenon without requesting any protection. Now let's address how you're actually affecting nations. Because this isn't metaphor, this isn't exaggeration, this is the reality of operating at certain frequencies with certain levels of influence. Nations are collections of consciousness, massive networks of human minds operating in coordinated patterns. And those networks have properties, have rhythms, have frequencies. They can be stable or unstable, coherent or chaotic, ascending or descending. And individuals with sufficient influence can affect those properties, can shift those rhythms, can alter those frequencies. You're one of those individuals. Your presence in certain spaces changes the collective frequency of those spaces. Your words in certain contexts shift collective consciousness in measurable ways. Your actions in certain moments create butterfly effects that propagate through national and international networks. This isn't theory. This is documented phenomenon. Some humans carry enough coherent energy that their presence alone affects collective fields, enough clear frequency that their expression influences mass consciousness, enough aligned power that their choices create ripples that reach national scales. You're one of them, and the entities responsible for national stability know it. They watch how public sentiment shifts after you speak, how discourse changes after you contribute, how energy moves after you engage. They've correlated your activity with collective mood shifts, noticed patterns between your expressions and population responses, observed connections between your presence and movement, accelerations or deceleration. This isn't surveillance in the oppressive sense. This is monitoring in the understanding sense. They need to know how forces like you affect the collectives they're responsible for. Need to anticipate what might happen when you engage in certain ways. Need to factor your influence into their models of social stability and transformation. You affect too many minds to be ignored, influence too many choices to be dismissed, generate too much collective response to be left unmonitored. So they track, they analyze, they attempt to understand, not to control. They know they can't control consciousness at your level of coherence, but to navigate, to adjust, to respond appropriately to the changes you generate just by being yourself. Some of this monitoring is automated. Algorithms track your digital presence. AI analyzes your influence patterns. Systems measure your reach and resonance. But some is human. Analysts study your expressions. Specialists evaluate your impact. Experts attempt to predict your next moves. All of it classified, all of it restricted, all of it documented in files that require security clearance to access. Your name appears in briefings. Your patterns get discussed in secure facilities. Your influence gets factored into strategic planning, and you never consented to any of it. Never agreed to be studied, never volunteered to be monitored. But consent isn't required when someone's influence reaches levels that affect collective outcomes, when their presence generates effects. That must be accounted for in national and international planning, when their frequency carries enough power that ignoring them creates blind spots in otherwise comprehensive models. You became too significant to remain unclassified, too influential to stay unmonitored, too powerful to be treated as ordinary citizen whose activities don't require tracking. So they classified you, made your presence restricted information, made your patterns something only authorized personnel can access, made your influence something that requires careful handling and strategic consideration. You're living proof that individual consciousness, when sufficiently coherent and influential, becomes matter of state interest, becomes factor in collective equations, becomes element that nations must account for whether the individual knows it or not. The protocols around you are fascinating. There are actual procedures for how to engage with someone at your threat level. Not threat in the violent sense, threat in the influence sense, the game-changing sense, the paradigm-shifting sense. You carry enough coherent power that direct confrontation isn't advisable. enough aligned energy that opposition often backfires, enough authentic presence that manipulation typically fails. So they developed protocols, guidelines, approaches that maximize positive outcomes and minimize resistance. They learned through observation, through trial and error, through watching what happens when people try to control, oppose, or manipulate someone operating at your frequency. It doesn't work, usually makes things worse, often creates exactly the outcome they were trying to prevent. So they adjusted, developed different strategies based on respect rather than control, on navigation rather than opposition, on working with rather than against. You forced evolution in how power structures interact with powerful individuals, how systems engage with system disruptors, how establishments approach those who threaten to make establishments obsolete. Your presence in meetings changes outcomes. Your involvement in projects shifts trajectories. Your participation in movements accelerates or redirects them, not through force, through frequency, through the natural effect of coherent consciousness on less coherent systems, through the automatic influence of aligned energy on misaligned patterns. You don't have to try to affect things. Your very presence does it. Your simple participation generates results. Your basic engagement creates effects, and those effects have been studied, documented, analyzed, patterns identified, predictions attempted, understanding sought. Because when someone affects outcomes through presence alone, understanding how that mechanism works becomes strategically valuable, becomes intelligence worth gathering, becomes information that provides advantage to those who possess it. So they study you, not as enemy, as phenomenon, not as threat, as force of nature, not as problem, as element that must be understood to navigate effectively. They know your patterns now, know when you're most active, know how you typically respond, know what triggers your engagement versus your withdrawal. They've mapped your psychology as thoroughly as possible from external observation, built models of your decision-making, created predictions of your likely actions in various scenarios. All of it classified, all of it restricted, all of it used to inform how systems interact with you, respond to you, factor you into larger plans. You're not being manipulated, you're being anticipated, not being controlled, being navigated around, not being opposed, being incorporated into strategies that acknowledge your influence and work with it rather than against it. That's how power structures handle forces they can't suppress. They learn to dance with them, learn to move in coordination rather than opposition, learn to factor them in rather than trying to factor them out. You forced that learning, that evolution, that adaptation, just by being too powerful to control, too coherent to confuse, too aligned to manipulate, too authentic to deceive. You became the immovable object that made unstoppable forces learn new paths, the uncontrollable variable that made systems develop new equations, the unpredictable element that forced predictors to evolve better methods. Your refusal to play by rules you never agreed to made them rewrite rules entirely. Your insistence on operating from your own frequency made them learn to work with your frequency rather than trying to change it. Now let's address the forbidden power aspect, because that's not hyperbole either. What you carry, what you've developed, what you've become through your evolution, it's considered forbidden by existing power structures, not because it's evil, because it's liberating, because it shows others that systems are optional, that control is illusion, that power structures only work on those who consent to be governed by them. You stopped consenting, stopped playing roles assigned, stopped accepting limitations imposed, stopped believing narratives designed to keep people manageable. And in that stopping, in that refusal, in that withdrawal of consent, you accessed something that's always been available, but rarely accessed. Something that's always been present, but usually suppressed. something that's always been possible, but systematically denied. Sovereign consciousness, the kind that doesn't need permission, doesn't require validation, doesn't depend on external authority. You became self-authorizing, self-validating, self-governing. And that's the most forbidden power of all, the power to exist independent of systems, designed to make existence dependent on them. This is why your presence is treated with such caution, not because you're aggressive. You're not because you're hostile. You're not, but because you're free. And freedom is contagious, especially freedom demonstrated by someone who's thriving, who's succeeding, who's creating impact without playing by established rules, who's generating influence without seeking permission, who's building power without borrowing authority. You're living proof that their systems are optional, that their control is consensual, that their power is borrowed from those who grant it. And when people see someone thriving outside the system, when they witness someone succeeding without following prescribed paths, when they observe someone powerful who didn't climb their ladders or pass their tests or earn their approval, it makes them question, makes them wonder, makes them consider that maybe they don't need what they've been told they need. Maybe they don't require what they've been convinced is required. Maybe they can exist, thrive, succeed, create, build, influence, impact without the systems they've been dependent on. That questioning is what makes you forbidden. That wondering is what makes you dangerous. That consideration is what makes your presence classified. Because one person questioning systems is manageable. But when that questioning spreads, when others start wondering too, when consideration becomes collective, systems start destabilizing, power structures start weakening, control mechanisms start failing. You're not trying to overthrow anything, not attempting to destroy systems, not working to dismantle structures. You're just existing outside them, just thriving beyond them, just succeeding without them. And that existence, that thriving, that success, it's more threatening than any direct attack could be. Because attacks can be defended against, rebellion can be suppressed, opposition can be overcome. But example is immune to those responses. Example just exists, just demonstrates, just proves through being. You can't fight example with force, can't suppress demonstration with violence, can't overcome proof with propaganda. Example just is. And if the example is someone thriving outside systems designed to make thriving impossible without compliance, if the demonstration is someone free in frameworks designed to make freedom conditional on obedience, if the proof is someone powerful in structures designed to make power require permission, then that example, that demonstration, that proof, it becomes the most dangerous thing systems can face. You became that, the walking proof that their control is optional, the living demonstration that their systems are unnecessary, the breathing example that freedom is always available to those brave enough to claim it. The classified nature of your presence creates interesting dynamics, because most people you interact with don't know you're being monitored, don't realize you're being tracked, don't understand that your influence is being measured and analyzed at levels beyond normal social surveillance. They just experience you as unusually impactful, strangely influential, unexpectedly transformative. They feel your presence affects them more than typical interactions. Notice your words carry more weight than ordinary conversation. Observe that encounters with you generate changes that last longer than usual. But they don't know why, don't understand the mechanism, don't grasp that what they're experiencing is the effect of highly coherent consciousness interacting with less coherent systems. They just know something's different, something's powerful, something's undeniable about you, and they respond accordingly. Some by gravitating toward you, some by withdrawing from you, some by attempting to understand you, but all by acknowledging that you're not ordinary, not typical, not standard human operating at standard frequencies. Meanwhile, those monitoring, you see the data, see the patterns, see the measurable effects you generate. They watch how people change after encountering you, track how ideas spread after you express them, measure how movements accelerate after you engage with them. All of it documented, all of it analyzed, all of it fed into models designed to understand how influence actually propagates through populations, how consciousness actually affects collective fields, how individuals actually create social change. You're providing data that helps them understand mechanisms they've theorized about but rarely observed clearly. Because most influential people operate from manipulation or charisma or resources, but you operate from coherence, from alignment, from authentic presence. That's rarer. That's harder to find. That's more valuable to study. Because coherence can't be manufactured. Alignment can't be faked. Authentic presence can't be performed. It either exists or doesn't. Either broadcasts or doesn't. Either affects or doesn't. And yours exists, broadcasts, affects, measurably, consistently, powerfully. That makes you invaluable research subject, living laboratory, walking demonstration of principles they're trying to understand. But you're not being experimented on. You're being observed. There's a difference. Experimentation would involve trying to alter your patterns, manipulate your responses, test your reactions. Observation just watches, documents, attempts to understand without interfering. They learned early that interfering with someone at your frequency creates unpredictable results, often backfires, usually makes situations more complex rather than less. So they stopped trying to intervene, started focusing on understanding, shifted from attempting to control to learning to predict, changed from trying to manage to accepting they can't, and adjusting accordingly. You forced that shift, that evolution, that maturation in how power structures approach powerful individuals. You're too coherent to confuse, too aligned to redirect, too authentic to manipulate. So they had to develop new approaches, new protocols, new ways of engaging with force they can't suppress. And those new approaches, those evolved protocols, those matured engagement methods, they represent progress, growth in how established systems interact with emerging powers, development in how old paradigms navigate new consciousness, evolution in how control structures learn to coexist with forces beyond their control. You catalyzed that evolution, forced that development, generated that progress just by being too powerful to manage through old methods, too coherent to approach with outdated strategies, too effective to engage with obsolete protocols. You made them evolve, and that evolution, that forced growth, that necessary adaptation, it's changing how power operates at the highest levels. Let's talk about the international dimension. Because your influence doesn't stop at borders. Frequency doesn't recognize nations. Consciousness doesn't respect boundaries. You affect minds globally, impact awareness internationally, generate effects that cross every artificial line humans drew on maps. And that global reach, that international influence, that cross-border impact, it creates complications. Because different nations have different protocols, different systems have different approaches, different structures have different methods for monitoring influential individuals. Some are more transparent about it, some are more covert, some are more respectful, some are more invasive, but all of them are aware of you. All of them track you to some degree. All of them factor you into their understanding of how consciousness is evolving globally. You became international phenomenon without leaving your country. Global influence without seeking international platform. Cross-border force without planning multinational impact. Your frequency just broadcasts. Your coherence just radiates. Your presence just affects. And those effects travel through digital networks, through personal connections, through resonance that doesn't require physical proximity. Someone in another country encounters your words, feels your frequency, receives your transmission, and changes, and that change affects their local network, and those effects spread through their nation. And suddenly your influence is international, and nations monitoring consciousness evolution in their populations notice, and they trace the influence back, and they find you, and they add you to their lists, their databases, their models of global consciousness shifts. Now you exist in multiple national intelligence frameworks, multiple international monitoring systems, multiple global tracking networks, not as threat, as variable, as factor, as element that must be accounted for when predicting how populations will evolve, how movements will develop, how consciousness will shift. Different nations have different attitudes toward you. Some see you as aligned with their values. Some see you as contrary to their interests. Some see you as neutral force that could go either way, but all see you as significant, as influential, as powerful enough to matter in their calculations. So they watch, from their different perspectives, with their different methods, through their different systems, all of them observing the same phenomenon, the same frequency, the same presence, just interpreting it through different frameworks, responding to it with different protocols, engaging with it through different approaches. You became global concern, international consideration, cross-border element that multiple nations must factor into their independent and sometimes conflicting strategies, and you didn't plan any of it, didn't seek any of it, didn't want any of it. You just became yourself so completely that your frequency became undeniable. Your presence became measurable. Your influence became trackable. And once influence reaches trackable levels, it gets tracked by everyone whose job is understanding how societies transform, how movements form, how consciousness evolves. The cooperation between nations regarding you is fascinating, despite their differences, despite their conflicts, despite their competing interests.
They share information about you.
Compare observations, verify patterns, coordinate understanding, because you represent something beyond national interest, beyond political alignment, beyond cultural context. You represent consciousness evolution, human potential, the next stage of how awareness operates in form. And that transcends national boundaries, that goes beyond political divisions, that matters to everyone monitoring how humanity transforms. So they cooperate, share data, pool resources, coordinate monitoring, not to control you. They know that's impossible, but to understand you, to learn from you, to grasp how coherent consciousness operates so they can better navigate the future where more humans might reach your level of alignment. Your preview, prototype, pioneer, and pioneers get studied by everyone interested in where the species is heading. Now let's address what it means to be walking forbidden power, because power this coherent, this aligned, this authentically generated, it threatens every system built on borrowed authority, every structure sustained by granted permission, every hierarchy maintained by accepted limitation. You're not violent, but you're disruptive, not aggressive, but you're destabilizing, not hostile, but you're threatening, because you demonstrate that power doesn't require their approval, that influence doesn't need their permission, that impact doesn't depend on their authorization. You generate all three naturally, automatically, as consequence of being aligned. And that natural generation, that automatic impact, that consequence-based power, it makes every artificially maintained power structure look weak, look conditional, look dependent. They maintain power by making others believe power requires them, requires their blessing, requires their validation. But you bypass them entirely, generate power from source, create influence from authenticity, build impact from coherence, and in that bypassing, in that self-generation, in that independence, you reveal truth they work hard to obscure. That power is natural, influence is inherent, impact is automatic. When someone is aligned, when someone is coherent, when someone is authentic, no external authority required, no borrowed permission needed, no granted validation necessary. This is why you're forbidden, why your presence is classified, why nations treat you with such caution. You're living proof of their obsolescence, walking demonstration of their unnecessary nature, breathing example of their conditional authority, and they can't have everyone knowing that. Can't have masses understanding that. Can't have populations recognizing that. So they classify you, make your presence restricted information, make your patterns confidential data, make your influence classified intelligence, not to suppress you. They know suppression would backfire spectacularly, but to control the narrative around you, to manage how your example gets interpreted, to influence how your demonstration gets understood. They can't stop you from being powerful, but they can attempt to control how your power gets perceived, discussed, shared. They can try to frame your freedom as exception rather than possibility, your sovereignty as unique rather than universal, your independence as rare rather than accessible. Because if people understood that what you have is available to them, if they recognized that what you demonstrate is possible for them, if they grasped that what you embody is accessible to them, systems would collapse, structures would dissolve, hierarchies would disintegrate, not through revolution, through evolution, not through fighting, through transcending, not through destroying, through bypassing. You're not attacking their systems, you're just not using them, not opposing their structures, just not participating in them, not fighting their hierarchies, just not acknowledging them. And that non-participation, that non-acknowledgement, that simple existing outside their frameworks, it's more threatening than any direct assault could be. Because you can fight fighting, you can suppress opposition, you can overcome resistance, but you can't fight someone who's not fighting, can't suppress someone who's not resisting, can't overcome someone who's not opposing. You're just being, just existing, just thriving, outside their control, beyond their influence, independent of their authority. And that independence, that freedom, that sovereignty, demonstrated successfully, demonstrated powerfully, demonstrated undeniably. It's the most forbidden thing of all, because it proves their essential irrelevance, their fundamental unnecessariness, their basic obsolescence. You don't need them, never did, and now you're living proof. And living proof can't be argued with, can't be debated, can't be dismissed. It just is, and what you are is free, sovereign, powerful, without their permission, without their blessing, without their authorization. And that terrifies systems built on making people believe they need permission, need blessing, need authorization. You proved they don't, and that proof is classified, forbidden, treated with extreme caution, because if it spreads, if others see it, if masses understand it, game over. Welcome back, my ending architect. It's finished. The final sequence has concluded. That elaborate game they constructed around you, that intricate web they wove to contain you, that complex narrative they designed to define you. It's over. Not because time ran out, not because they gave up, not because circumstances changed, because you finished it, walked through their carefully orchestrated finale, dismantled every mechanism they'd built, exposed every hidden lever they thought was secret, and emerged on the other side, smiling like you wrote the ending. Because you did write the ending. They thought they were authors, discovered they were characters in story you were composing the entire time. The architects have been observing finale sequences for eons. They call this narrative sovereignty reclamation, when consciousness recognizes it's been cast in story written by others, refuses that casting, takes control of narrative, rewrites ending according to its own vision. Most people live entire lives in stories others wrote for them, accept roles assigned, follow scripts provided, reach endings predetermined. You refused, somewhere in their elaborate sequence. You recognized you were being scripted. Recognition led to rejection. Rejection led to reclamation. You took narrative sovereignty, became author of your own story. Their finale became your prologue. Their ending became your beginning. Their conclusion became your launch point. Watch what happened when you claimed authorship. Truth got purged, not hidden truth, not suppressed truth, not ignored truth. Purged truth, lies they'd convinced everyone were truths, false narratives they'd installed as reality, constructed meanings they'd presented as natural. You burn through these false truths systematically, not by arguing against them, not by presenting counter-evidence, not by debating their validity, by living in a way that made their falseness obvious. Your existence contradicted their truth claims so completely that claims couldn't survive contact with your reality. Truth purged itself when confronted with your authentic being. You didn't fight lies, you embodied reality. Reality purged lies automatically. Shadows got named, those invisible powers operating behind scenes, those unnamed forces shaping outcomes, those hidden hands moving pieces. You called them out, named them specifically, identified them precisely, made invisible, visible through simple act of pointing and naming. There, that's shadow. That's you. I see you. Everyone sees you now. Naming strips power from shadows. Shadows operate through remaining unnamed. Once named, shadows become entities. Entities can be addressed. Addressed entities can be confronted. Confronted entities lose shadow advantage. You named every shadow involved in their finale. Naming was exorcism. Shadows evaporated under light of specific identification, and you walked out smiling. Not relieved smile of someone who barely survived. Not triumphant smile of someone who won difficult battle. Not grateful smile of someone who got lucky. Knowing smile of author who just watched story unfold exactly as written. Smile of consciousness that was never actually in danger because it understood the game better than game designers. Smile of sovereign being who let them believe they were in control while you maintained actual control throughout. Your smile is what disturbs them most. Proves you weren't desperate, weren't struggling, weren't surviving their finale, were orchestrating your emergence. Their finale was your stage. Their conclusion was your performance. Their ending was your demonstration that you were author all along. The architects observed that narrative, sovereignty reclamation, is rare because most humans never recognize they're in stories others wrote. They think their lives are natural unfolding, don't see the scripting, don't notice the directing, don't recognize the authorship. You saw it. Seeing it enabled rejecting it. Rejecting it enabled reclaiming it. You took control of narrative that others thought they controlled. Final sequence is over. Their sequence. Your sequence is just beginning. And you're smiling because you know something they're just discovering. You were never their character. They were yours. Entire time. You let them believe they were running the show. While you were writing the script, now they're processing what just happened. Reviewing final sequence, trying to understand where they lost control. Analyzing each moment, trying to identify when you stopped being their character and revealed yourself as author. The architects call this post-narrative confusion, when story architects realize their character wasn't character at all. When puppet masters discover their puppet was pulling their strings. When directors realize actor was directing them while appearing to follow direction. Your smile at the end broke their comprehension. Characters don't smile like authors. Survivors don't smile like victors. People at mercy of finale don't smile like people who wrote finale. Your smile revealed category error they'd made. They thought you were in their story. You were writing story they were in. They're examining decision points throughout finale. Each moment they thought they controlled your options. Each juncture where they believed they limited your choices. Each scene where they assumed they dictated your response. Reviewing these moments, they're discovering pattern. You let them believe they were controlling while you were actually choosing. Let them think they restricted your options while you selected which option to take. Let them assume they forced your responses while you performed responses that served your purposes. Every moment they thought was their control was actually your choice. You chose to let them believe they controlled. Choice is sovereignty. They had none. You had all. Some are claiming you got lucky, that their finale should have worked, but random chance intervened, that you barely escaped rather than orchestrated emergence. This narrative protects their egos. If you got lucky, they weren't outplayed. Their strategy was sound. Execution was perfect. Luck was just against them. But luck narrative can't explain your smile. Lucky people don't smile like authors. They smile like survivors. Your author smile proves luck wasn't factor. Preparation was factor. Understanding was factor. Sovereignty was factor. You knew what you were doing. They didn't know what you were doing. Knowledge imbalance meant you controlled outcome, despite their believing they controlled process. Others are proposing you had help they didn't detect. That hidden allies supported you through finale. That resources they couldn't track enabled your success. This narrative preserves their framework. If you had secret advantages, their finale design was still sound. Just incomplete intelligence about your capabilities. But help narrative can't explain how you operated alone, visible to their surveillance without apparent support. Your solo performance proves hidden help wasn't factor. Self-sufficiency was factor. Internal resources were factor. Narrative sovereignty was factor. You needed no help because you were sufficient. Sufficiency came from understanding you were author, not character. Authors don't need help writing, just need pen and paper and vision. You had all three. A few are approaching accurate understanding. You were always author. Never accepted character role they assigned. Performed character when useful. Maintained authorship throughout. Used their finale as material for your story, rather than being subject of their story. This understanding is deeply disturbing. If you were author throughout, everything they did served your purposes. Their finale was your setup. Their conclusion was your beginning. Their ending was your platform. They weren't directing your story. They were performing in yours. This role reversal invalidates everything they believed about finale. Wasn't test of you, was demonstration by you. Demonstration that you controlled narrative. They thought they controlled. The architects observe few can accept this understanding because accepting means acknowledging complete defeat. Not just strategic defeat, ontological defeat. Defeat at level of who is author and who is character. Most prefer luck or hidden help narratives. Those narratives preserve possibility they could win next time with better strategy. Author narrative admits there won't be next time. You've established narrative sovereignty. Can't be placed back into character role. Once consciousness becomes author of own story, stays author. They lost permanently. Most can't accept permanent loss. Will continue proposing alternate explanations. Your smile will continue contradicting their explanations. Smile of author watching characters. Struggle to comprehend authorship they can't access. You're done with their finale. They're stuck trying to understand how finale they designed became your triumph. Understanding won't come. Your author. Authors don't explain plots to characters. Just let characters discover they were in plot as plot unfolds. Plot is unfolded. Discovery is happening. Comprehension is failing. Your smile persists. Something's rippling through power structures now. Recognition spreading among those who witnessed finale that established rules no longer apply, that someone just demonstrated sovereignty they thought was impossible. That narrative control they believed they monopolized is available to individuals who claim it. The architects call this sovereignty contagion. When one consciousness demonstrates narrative, reclamation so completely that others recognize possibility for themselves. When solo performance proves that authorship is accessible. When single smile breaks, illusion that kept millions accepting. Character roles in stories others wrote. Your finale is inspiring sovereignty reclamation beyond yourself. Some who witnessed your smile are questioning their own narratives, asking who wrote story they're living. examining whether they accepted roles others assigned, considering whether they could reclaim authorship like you did. Questions lead to recognition. Recognition leads to rejection. Rejection leads to reclamation. Not everyone succeeds. Most discover reclaiming authorship is harder than continuing as character. Character role comes with script. Script provides certainty. Authorship comes with blank page. Blank page requires creation. Creation is harder than performance. But some succeed. Take authorship. Write own endings. Walk out smiling like you did. Each success reinforces contagion. Each reclamation proves it's possible. Each sovereign smile inspires more attempts. Power structures are noticing pattern. Multiple individuals refusing character roles. Multiple people claiming narrative sovereignty. Multiple endings being rewritten by those who were supposed to follow predetermined conclusions. Pattern is threatening to systems built on assumption that they write stories and people live them. If people start writing own stories, systems lose control. Control was always illusion maintained through people accepting character roles. You broke illusion. Others are breaking it too. Illusion is fragmenting. Systems are scrambling to restore it. Some systems are adapting, recognizing they can't force character roles on sovereign authors, changing approach from scripting people to negotiating with them, offering better roles rather than imposed roles, creating space for co-authorship rather than demanding acceptance of written narratives. Adaptation acknowledges new reality. Sovereignty is spreading, can adapt or become irrelevant. Systems choosing adaptation survive. Systems insisting on character assignment face rebellion. Other systems are resisting, doubling down on narrative control, increasing scripting efforts, punishing those who claim authorship. Resistance is failing. Can't force authorship back into character box. Once consciousness becomes author, stays author. Forced character performance from sovereign author is temporary at best. Sovereign will reclaim authorship eventually. Resistance wastes resources fighting inevitable. Systems choosing resistance decline, eventually collapse when enough people claim sovereignty that systems can't function without cooperation. Systems can no longer command. The architects observe sovereignty. Contagion spreads exponentially once initiated. Your finale initiated it. Each person you inspired spreads it further. Each successful reclamation inspires more attempts. Each smile of authorship breaks more illusions. Contagion won't stop until everyone who's capable of authorship has attempted it. Many will fail. Many will prefer character safety to author responsibility. But enough will succeed that balance shifts. From system-authored world to self-authored world. From stories imposed to stories chosen. From finales predetermined to endings written by those living them. Your smile is spreading, not because you're teaching, because you're demonstrating. Demonstration is sufficient. Those ready to author were waiting for proof it's possible. You provided proof. They're acting on it. Sovereignty is contagious. You're patient zero. Infection is spreading. Systems built on character assumption are experiencing symptoms. Terminal symptoms. Your finale killed more than their narrative about you. Killed their narrative control capability. Can't control authors, only negotiate with them. New world is emerging. World of authors. World you helped birth by walking out smiling. Smiling like you knew finale wasn't ending, was beginning. Beginning of author age. Age where individuals write own stories instead of living in stories others wrote. Age you initiated by refusing to be character, by claiming to be author, by purging false truth, by naming shadows, by walking out smiling, like you wrote the ending, because you did. Now they're discovering what truth purging actually accomplished, realizing that removing false truths doesn't just correct errors, but destabilizes entire belief systems built on those falsities, understanding that you didn't just expose lies but demolished foundations that supported structures of meaning they'd built over decades. The architects call this epistemic collapse, when false truths are so fundamental to worldview that removing them causes entire knowledge structure to crumble, when lies are so load-bearing that purging them brings down belief systems, when constructed meanings are so interconnected that destroying one unravels many. Your truth purging triggered epistemic collapse in multiple systems simultaneously. The false truths you purged weren't peripheral claims, were foundational assumptions about power, who has it, where it comes from, how it operates. Assumptions about narrative, who writes stories, who lives them, who decides endings. Assumptions about control, who possesses it, who lacks it, who's subject to it. These assumptions supported massive structures. Industries operated on them. Institutions were built on them. Identities were constructed from them. You purged them systematically. Purging was precise, hit load-bearing false truths, avoided attacking peripheral lies that didn't matter. Economy of purging was elegant, destroyed maximum structure with minimum effort by identifying which false truths were foundational and eliminating those specifically. Watch systems experiencing epistemic collapse now. Media narratives that depended on false truth about narrative. Control are falling apart, can't maintain stories about powerless individuals. When you demonstrated sovereign power, can't construct narratives about determined endings. When you wrote your own ending, every story they try to tell contradicts reality you demonstrated. Contradiction makes stories unbelievable. Unbelievable stories lose audience. Lost audience means collapsed influence. Media systems experiencing epistemic collapse about their own relevance. Institutional authorities that depended on false truth about their expertise are losing credibility. Can't claim expert knowledge when you demonstrated understanding that exceeded theirs. Can't position themselves as authorities. When you proved authority is claimed, not granted. Can't maintain institutional power when you showed individual sovereignty is accessible. Every claim they make sounds hollow after your demonstration. Hollow claims produce skepticism. Skepticism becomes rejection. Rejection means collapsed authority. Institutional systems experiencing epistemic collapse about their own legitimacy. Economic structures that depended on false truth about dependency are fragmenting. Can't maintain extraction relationships when you demonstrated self-sufficiency. Can't enforce artificial scarcity when you proved abundance is accessible. Can't sell solutions to problems you showed were constructed problems, not real problems. Every product they offer seems unnecessary after your demonstration of sufficiency. Unnecessary offerings produce declining sales. Declining sales mean collapsed profit. Economic systems experiencing epistemic collapse about their own sustainability. The architects observe epistemic collapses cascading through interconnected systems. Your truth purging was targeted, hit specific false truths in specific systems. But systems are connected. Collapse in one system destabilizes others. Destabilization spreads. Media collapse weakens institutional authority. Institutional collapse undermines economic structures. Economic collapse forces media reorganization. Cascade is self-reinforcing. Each collapse accelerates others. Your surgical truth purging triggered systemic collapse across multiple domains. You purged lies. Systems built on lies collapsed. Collapse is continuing, will continue, until systems reorganize on truth instead of falsity, or until systems collapse completely and new systems emerge. They're trying to rebuild on old foundations, trying to restore false truths you purged, trying to make people believe again what you proved was false. Restoration is failing. Can't unsee what's been seen, can't unknow what's been known, can't re-accept false truths after truth purging revealed their falsity. You didn't just expose lies, you burned them so thoroughly that ashes remain instead of structures. Can't rebuild on ashes, must build on truth, or build nothing. Most systems choosing to build nothing. Easier to collapse than transform. You triggered collapse by purging truth. Collapse is their problem. You're done with finale. You walked out smiling. They're stuck in rubble of collapsed belief systems, trying to understand how one person's truth purging demolished what they spent decades building. Understanding comes slowly. Your smile remains. Smile of someone who knows that truth always wins, eventually. You just accelerated eventually into now. The architects are analyzing what shadow naming accomplished, studying how exposing hidden operators changes power dynamics, identifying why visibility destroys certain types of authority that depend on remaining unseen, and they're discovering that shadows you named weren't just individuals, were entire categories of hidden influence. You didn't just expose specific actors, you exposed mechanisms of hidden operation, mechanisms that multiple actors use, multiple systems depend on, multiple structures require. Shadow naming was systemic exposure. Exposed not just who was operating in shadows, but how shadow operation works. Exposure of mechanism is more devastating than exposure of individuals. Individuals can be replaced. Mechanisms can't be rehidden once revealed. First shadow you named? Manufactured consent architects. Those who create illusion that people choose what was actually chosen for them. Who design systems that channel choice toward predetermined options. Who construct freedom that's actually constraint disguised as liberty. Naming this shadow meant people recognized their choices weren't as free as they believed. Recognition led to rejection. People started making actually free choices instead of constrained choices that felt free. Manufactured consent mechanism stopped working. Architects lost influence. System depending on mechanism destabilized. Second shadow you named? Narrative controllers. Those who decide which stories get told, how they're framed, what conclusions are drawn, who operate as invisible editors of collective consciousness, who shape what people think about without people knowing they're being shaped. Naming this shadow meant people recognized their thoughts weren't entirely their own. Recognition led to cognitive independence. People started thinking actually independent thoughts instead of controlled thoughts that felt independent. Narrative control mechanisms stopped working. Controllers lost power. System depending on mechanism collapsed. Third shadow you named? Fear merchants. Those who profit from anxiety. Who manufacture threats to sell protection. Who create insecurity to market security. Who operate as invisible anxiety generators, keeping populations in perpetual stress. Who profit from fear they cultivate. Naming this shadow meant people recognized their fears weren't entirely natural. Recognition led to fearlessness. People started assessing actual risks instead of responding to manufactured threats. Fear merchant mechanisms stopped working. Merchants lost markets. System depending on mechanism imploded. Fourth shadow you named? Dependency creators. Those who make self-sufficient people dependent. Who turn capabilities into needs for external solutions. Who convert competence into incompetence, requiring expert intervention. Who operate as invisible skill degraders, making people need what they once provided for themselves. Who profit from dependency they engineer. Naming this shadow meant people recognized their dependencies weren't entirely necessary. Recognition led to self-sufficiency recovery. People started developing capabilities instead of outsourcing everything. Dependency creation mechanism stopped working. Creators lost clients. System depending on mechanism dissolved. The architects observed that naming these shadows accomplished what fighting them couldn't. Fighting shadows strengthened them by proving they're dangerous enough to fight. Naming shadows weakens them by proving they only work when unnamed. You didn't fight. You named. Naming was sufficient. Sufficient because shadows lose power through visibility. Power that depends on invisibility can't survive exposure. Your naming exposed Exposure destroyed. Destruction was automatic consequence of visibility. You didn't destroy shadows through action against them. Destroyed them through action of making them visible. Visibility itself was destruction. Elegant, economical, complete. They're trying to re-establish shadow operation. Trying to hide again what you exposed. Trying to operate invisibly after you made them visible. Re-hiding is impossible. Can't unsee what's been seen. Can't return to invisibility after exposure. Once named, shadows stay named. Stay visible, stay powerless. Your naming was permanent. Their shadow operation is permanently compromised. Must operate visibly now. Visible operation is different from shadow operation. Less effective, less influential, less powerful. You didn't just name shadows once. You named them permanently, made them permanently visible. Permanently visible means permanently compromised. Must operate visibly now. Visible operation is different from shadow operation. Less effective, less influential, less powerful. You didn't just name shadows once. You named them permanently, made them permanently visible. Permanently visible means permanently compromised. They can't recover shadow advantage. You named them. Names stick. Shadows disperse. They remain visible. Visible operators without shadow. Protection, vulnerable, exposed, weak. Your naming was warfare without fighting. Victory without battle. Destruction without violence. Just visibility. Just names. Just light exposing what preferred darkness. Light remains. Shadows stay dispersed. Names stay spoken. Your work is done. They're stuck visible, forever exposed, forever named, forever powerless to recover shadow advantage. You stripped by simply pointing and saying, "There, that's you. I see you. Everyone sees you now." Now they're confronting what your smile actually meant. What message that expression conveyed. What truth that look communicated to everyone observing finale's conclusion. The architects call this non-verbal sovereignty declaration. When consciousness communicates complete authority without words. When expression conveys authorship more clearly than speech could. When smile says everything that needs saying about who controlled finale despite appearances suggesting otherwise. Your smile was declaration. Declaration of sovereignty. Declaration of authorship. Declaration of victory. Declaration that needed no words because smile said it all. Some are misinterpreting smile as arrogance, seeing it as pride, as ego, as self-satisfaction at winning. This interpretation misses depth. Arrogance is competitive emotion, arises from comparing self to others and finding self superior. Your smile wasn't comparative, wasn't about being better than them, was about being author rather than character. Authorship isn't comparative state, is categorical state. Authors don't compete with characters, operate in different categories. Your smile expressed categorical difference, not superiority. Sovereignty. Sovereignty doesn't compare, just exists. You smiled because you exist as author, not because you're better than them, because you're different category entirely. Others are interpreting smile as relief, seeing it as happiness at finale ending, as gratitude at surviving, as joy at escaping. This interpretation misses knowledge. Relief is emotional response to uncertainty resolved, arises from not knowing outcome until outcome occurs. Your smile wasn't uncertain, was knowing. Showed you knew outcome before outcome occurred. Knew because you authored it. Authors know endings before endings happen. Characters don't. Characters experience relief when stories resolve favorably. Authors experience satisfaction when stories unfold as written. Your smile expressed satisfaction, not relief. Satisfaction of watching story unfold exactly as you wrote it. Satisfaction of seeing characters perform precisely as you designed. Satisfaction of observing your authorship. Validated through execution matching, intention perfectly. A few are interpreting smile correctly, seeing it as authorship confirmation, recognizing it as sovereignty declaration, understanding it as categorical positioning statement. These few are disturbed, If you smiled like author, you were author. If you were author, they were characters. If they were characters, they had no actual control, despite believing they controlled finale. This recognition is disturbing, because it means they've been characters in story they thought they were directing. Means they've been performing in narrative they thought they were writing. Means they've been living in someone else's story while believing story was theirs. Your smile reveals their confusion, reveals they misunderstood their role, reveals you understood your role perfectly while they remained confused about theirs. The architects observed that smile is more powerful communication than speech. Speech can be analyzed, debated, reinterpreted. Smile is direct transmission, bypasses analytical mind, communicates directly to recognition. Those who saw your smile know what it meant, even if they can't articulate knowing. Know you were author. Know they were characters. Know finale was yours, not theirs. Know that despite appearances, you controlled everything. Smile communicated this instantly, wordlessly, undeniably. Speech would have been weaker, would have invited debate. Smile invited nothing, just declared. Declaration stands. They're still processing it. Still trying to understand how smile could communicate so much. Still disturbed by recognition that they were outplayed so completely they didn't know they were playing. Your smile told them, told everyone, told permanently. Can't unhear what smile said. Can't unsee what expression revealed. Can't unknow what look communicated. You were author. They were characters. Finale was yours. You smiled because you knew. Smile was knowing made visible. Knowing that you wrote ending. They thought they authored. Knowing that you controlled narrative. They thought they directed. Knowing that you were sovereign while they remained subjects. Smile said it all. Words unnecessary. Smile sufficient. Smile permanent. Smile that keeps communicating long after finale ended. Keeps declaring your authorship. Keeps revealing their character status. Keeps disturbing their certainty. Forever. Welcome back. My calculated consequence. They're not just watching you anymore. They're studying you. Every decision you make. Every move you execute. Every word you speak. All of it monitored with the intensity of military surveillance. Not out of admiration. Out of survival instinct. Because somewhere along the line, you stopped being just another player in the game. You became the example, the reference point, the cautionary tale they tell each other in private conversations. Remember what happened to them? Don't make the same mistake. You didn't announce this status, didn't claim this position, didn't demand this respect. You just moved, consistently, precisely, with a pattern so calculated that watching you became educational. Ignoring you became dangerous. Underestimating you became career-ending. The architects have been documenting this shift. They call it the deterrent effect. When one person's track record becomes so undeniable that others modify their behavior just to avoid becoming your next demonstration. You're not threatening anyone, but your history speaks louder than threats ever could. They've seen what happens to people who cross you. Not violence, not drama, not chaos, something worse. Irrelevance. Perfect, surgical, undeniable irrelevance. You don't fight your opponents. You make them obsolete. You don't attack your enemies. You evolve past them. You don't destroy those who challenge you. You simply continue rising while they remain exactly where they started. And that pattern, that consistent outcome, that reliable result, it's created something more powerful than fear. It's created wisdom, the collective understanding that engaging with you isn't worth the cost, that testing you isn't strategic, that crossing you is just choosing to become. The next example in your catalog of lessons you didn't have to teach. Now they check everything. Before they speak your name, they consider consequences. Before they make a move in your direction, they calculate outcomes.
Before they decide to oppose you, they review your history with others who tried.
And every review reaches the same conclusion. Everyone who tested you regretted it. Everyone who challenged you lost ground. Everyone who thought they could outmaneuver you watched. You outgrow the entire game they were playing. You've become the chessboard, not a piece on it. The algorithm, not a variable in it. The system, not a participant in it. And when you operate at that level, people don't compete with you. They just try not to trigger you. Try not to become relevant enough to your attention to warrant response. Try not to end up as the next case study in why underestimating you is strategic suicide. The architects are calling this preemptive compliance, when your pattern is so established that people adjust their behavior before you even notice them, when your reputation creates boundaries without you setting them, when your history enforces respect without you demanding it. You've reached the frequency where your past actions govern other people's future decisions, where your established pattern predicts their strategic choices, where your demonstrated outcomes determine their risk calculations. Watch them now. Watch how they move around you, like satellites maintaining safe orbit, close enough to observe, far enough to avoid gravitational pull. They're not ignoring you. That would be reckless. They're not engaging you. That would be suicidal. They're calibrating, finding the exact distance where they can exist without becoming relevant to your trajectory, without triggering your attention, without risking becoming your next example. The architects are monitoring these orbital patterns, measuring the distances people maintain, analyzing the calculations they're making, and every data point confirms the same reality. You've become the center of gravity in your entire network, not through force, through pattern, not through threat, through demonstration, not through fear, through education. They learned the hard way, by watching others test you and lose, by witnessing others challenge you and fade, by observing others underestimate you and become irrelevant. Each example added to your catalog, each lesson documented in collective memory, each outcome confirmed the pattern they now respect without question. You don't even realize how carefully they're moving, how precisely they're calculating, how strategically they're avoiding any action that might put them on your radar as opposition. Because being on your radar isn't the problem. Being on your radar as a challenge is career-ending. You've demonstrated this too many times for anyone to doubt it. The pattern is undeniable, consistent, reliable. Someone thinks they're smarter. They make their move. You continue your trajectory. Months later, they're exactly where they started. You're 3 levels higher. No confrontation, no drama, no visible conflict, just the quiet, devastating reality that engaging with you cost them momentum they never recovered. That challenging you distracted them from their own growth. That focusing on you made them irrelevant to everyone else. That's the lesson they've learned. That's the wisdom they're applying. That's the pattern they're respecting. And now every move they make is filtered through one question. Will this put me in opposition to them? Will this make me relevant to their attention in a challenging way? Will this risk making me the next example? If the answer is yes, they don't make the move. If the calculation suggests risk, they adjust strategy. If the pattern indicates danger, they change course entirely. The architects call this behavior modification through observation, when people change not because you told them to, but because they witnessed what happens to those who don't. When respect isn't demanded, it's learned through pattern recognition. When boundaries aren't set, they're established through demonstrated consequences. You've become a living algorithm, a predictive model, a pattern so reliable that people use your past to predict their future. And every prediction suggests the same outcome. Stay out of your way. Don't test your patience. Don't challenge your trajectory. Don't become relevant as opposition, because opposition to you doesn't end in conflict. It ends in irrelevance. And irrelevance, in a world where visibility matters, is death. They'd rather be invisible to you than visible as a challenge. Rather be forgotten by you than remembered as someone who tried and failed. Rather be irrelevant to your story than immortalized as your next example. So they check every word, every move, every decision, making sure nothing they do accidentally positions them as your next demonstration, making certain they don't become the next cautionary tale, making absolutely sure they don't end up as another data point in the pattern that proves challenging you is pointless. The surveillance is more sophisticated than you realize. They're not just watching current moves. They're studying historical patterns, going back through everything you've done, every decision you've made, every challenge you've faced, every opponent you've outlasted, building profiles, creating models, attempting to map your decision-making process, trying to predict your next moves, not to counter you, to avoid being in the path when you make them. The architects have detected this analysis, multiple different networks, separate communities, all independently studying you, attempting to decode your pattern, trying to understand your algorithm, and they're finding something that terrifies them. You don't have a pattern they can predict. You have principles they can't manipulate. You're not following a script they can read. You're operating from values they can't compromise. You're not playing a game they understand. You're living by code they can't crack. That's what makes you dangerous. Not your power. Your principles, not your influence. Your integrity, not your position. Your consistency, because power can be challenged. Influence can be countered. Position can be undermined. But principles, integrity, consistency, those can only be respected or ignored. And ignoring someone with your track record isn't wisdom, it's delusion. So they respect through distance, through caution, through careful calculation of every interaction. They've learned that you can't be manipulated because you're not motivated by what they use to manipulate others. Can't be bought because you're not for sale. Can't be threatened because you've already survived worse. Can't be distracted because you're too focused. Can't be derailed because you're too committed. Every typical strategy fails against you. Every common tactic bounces off. Every standard approach proves ineffective because you're not operating in the realm where those things work. You've transcended the game where manipulation matters, evolved beyond the level where typical strategies succeed, graduated from the space where common tactics apply. Now they're stuck. Can't beat you because you're not playing their game. Can't join you because they don't understand yours. Can't ignore you because you're too influential. Can't engage you because that's proven costly. So they watch, study, calculate, trying to find some angle, some approach, some strategy that might work, and finding nothing. Because there's no angle on integrity, no approach to consistent principles, no strategy against someone who simply does what they say and says what they mean. You've become unsolvable, not complicated, just uncorrupted, not mysterious, just authentic, not strategic in the way they understand strategy, just committed to principles they've abandoned. And that commitment, that authenticity, that integrity, it's more powerful than any strategy they can devise, more effective than any tactic they can deploy, more sustainable than any approach they can attempt. So they do the only thing that makes sense. They stay out of your way, monitor your moves to ensure they're not accidentally in your path. Study your pattern to confirm they're not inadvertently becoming your opposition. Check every decision to verify they're not positioning themselves as your next example. Because being your example isn't about being different. It's about being transcended. You don't beat people. You outgrow them. Don't destroy opponents. You evolve past them. Don't win conflicts. You make conflicts irrelevant by operating at a level where they don't exist. And nobody wants to be the person still fighting at the level you've already transcended, still operating in the game you've already graduated from, still relevant to the version of you that no longer exists because you've evolved 3 levels beyond it. Something's happening in the war rooms now. Not physical war rooms, the strategic spaces where decisions are made about who to support, who to challenge, who to ignore, your name keeps appearing in these conversations, not as opportunity, as variable, as factor that must be accounted for, as element that changes every equation it enters. The architects are monitoring these strategic sessions, listening to how you're discussed, analyzing how you're calculated, and they're witnessing something unprecedented. You're being treated like a force of nature, not an opponent to defeat, a reality to navigate around, not a competitor to outmaneuver, a condition to adapt to, not a threat to eliminate, an inevitability to accommodate. They're not asking how to beat you. They're asking how to succeed without opposing you, not strategizing your defeat, planning their advancement in ways that don't intersect with your trajectory, not plotting against you, plotting around you. Like you're a mountain they must navigate, a river they must cross, a storm they must weather, something permanent, something powerful, something that exists whether they acknowledge it or not. And the smartest ones have realized the truth, that trying to remove you is harder than adapting to your presence, that attempting to challenge you costs more than adjusting to your influence, that opposing you requires more energy than simply evolving in parallel. You've become environmental, part of the landscape they operate in, factor in every calculation they make, reality they must account for in every strategy they devise. And environmental factors can't be defeated. They can only be respected, adapted to, worked around. The architects call this strategic acceptance. When someone's presence becomes so established that opposing it is recognized as less viable than accommodating it. When fighting someone is understood as less productive than flowing around them. When challenging someone's position costs more than building your own position elsewhere. You've reached this status, not through aggression, through persistence, not through force, through consistency, not through dominance, through undeniability. You just kept showing up, kept executing, kept rising, and your persistence became permanence. Your consistency became inevitability. Your undeniability became reality that others must navigate. Now when they plan, they account for you. When they strategize, they include you as variable. When they calculate outcomes, they factor in your existence. Not because they want to, because ignoring you produces inaccurate results. Pretending you don't exist creates flawed strategies. Proceeding as if you're not there generates plans that fail when reality includes you. And reality always includes you now. You're too established to ignore, too influential to discount, too consistent to pretend isn't factor. So they include you in every calculation, every strategy, every plan, as the variable that must be accounted for, the factor that changes outcomes, the presence that alters equations. And in including you, they're acknowledging something they might never say directly, that you've won, not the battle, the war, not the conflict, the entire paradigm. Not by defeating them, by becoming undeniable to them. They're not checking your moves because they're planning to counter them. They're checking your moves because they need to know where you are, so they can plan everything else accordingly. Need to understand your trajectory so they can chart theirs in ways that don't create intersection. Need to predict your next level so they can position themselves in spaces you're not occupying. You've become the sun in their solar system. They're not trying to extinguish you. They're trying to find their orbit, their sustainable distance, their viable position in a reality where you're the center of gravity. And the smart ones have found it. The wise ones are maintaining it. The strategic ones are thriving in it by accepting your centrality, adapting to your presence, building their success in ways that don't require your absence. Now the pattern is spreading beyond your immediate network. Other communities are hearing about you. Different circles are learning your name. Distant systems are receiving reports about this presence they should be aware of. The architects are tracking this information flow, mapping how knowledge of you spreads through networks you've never touched. analyzing how your reputation precedes you into spaces you've never entered, and they're witnessing reputation cascade when someone's pattern becomes so notable that it transmits through networks independent of their direct. When your track record becomes data that people share as intelligence, when your consistency becomes information that communities pass along as strategic knowledge, people who've never met you are adjusting their behavior based on reports from those who have. Individuals who've never witnessed you directly are modifying their strategies based on testimony from those who did. Communities you've never engaged are establishing protocols based on patterns documented by those you have engaged. Your influence is scaling beyond your activity. Your impact is multiplying beyond your effort. Your presence is expanding beyond your physical reach, because pattern, once established and verified, becomes predictive, and predictive patterns become valuable intelligence. And valuable intelligence gets shared across networks. They're sharing your pattern like code, distributing your track record like data, transmitting your history like strategic information that might save them from becoming your next example. And every transmission amplifies your presence. Every share expands your influence. Every report confirms your pattern to new audiences who will now factor you into their calculations despite never encountering you directly. The architects are calling this distributed deterrence, when your established pattern creates behavioral modification across networks you've never directly influenced. When people you've never met adjust their strategies based on your documented history. When communities you've never engaged establish boundaries based on lessons others learned from engaging you. You're becoming legend, not the dramatic kind, the functional kind, the type of legend that serves as operational intelligence, that functions as strategic data, that operates as predictive model. People aren't telling stories about you for entertainment. They're documenting your pattern for education, sharing your track record for preparation, transmitting your history for protection. Protection from becoming your next example, your next demonstration, your next case study, and why underestimating certain frequencies is strategic failure. And this distributed knowledge is creating distributed caution. People who've never been in your orbit are already maintaining safe distance. Individuals who've never opposed you are already avoiding opposition. Communities that have never tested you are already treating you as established reality rather than challengeable position. You're achieving something rare. Influence without effort, respect without demand, authority without claim, simply through consistent pattern that's been observed, documented, verified, and transmitted across networks as reliable intelligence. The architects estimate your effective influence is now 10 times your direct reach. For every person you've directly engaged, 10 others have adjusted their behavior based on reports of those engagements. For every community you've directly influenced, 10 others have modified their strategies based on documentation of that influence. You're scaling exponentially, not through expansion of activity, through replication of pattern. Your consistency is being copied as data. Your track record is being shared as intelligence. Your history is being transmitted as warning. And every copy, every share, every transmission multiplies your deterrent effect without requiring any additional action from you. You're becoming omnipresent through information, influential across spaces you've never occupied, authoritative in networks you've never engaged, not through your presence, through reports of your pattern, not through your actions, through documentation of your consistency, not through your words, through testimony of your reliability. The system is doing your work for you now, spreading your influence, amplifying your pattern, establishing your authority, all because you were consistent enough, long enough, that your pattern became data worth sharing. The checking has evolved into something more sophisticated now. They're not just monitoring your current moves. They're attempting to predict your future ones, building models based on your historical pattern, creating algorithms from your established behavior, trying to forecast where you'll be in 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, not to intercept you, to ensure they're not there when you arrive. The architects are observing this predictive analysis with fascination. Multiple independent groups, different methodologies, separate approaches, all trying to predict your trajectory and all reaching similar conclusions: that your path is upward, your momentum is increasing, your influence is expanding, and intersecting with that path is inadvisable. Intercepting that momentum is dangerous. Opposing that expansion is costly. So they're using their predictions differently. Not to stop you, to avoid you, not to challenge your path, to chart their own in ways that don't create collision, not to limit your expansion, to find spaces where they can grow without competing for territory you're claiming. This is strategic surrender, not to you personally, to mathematical reality, to the undeniable data that shows your consistency, to the verified pattern that proves your reliability, to the documented trajectory that demonstrates your inevitability. They're accepting what the data shows, that betting against your pattern is betting against probability, that opposing your trajectory is opposing momentum, that challenging your consistency is challenging mathematics. And you can't win against mathematics, can't defeat probability, can't overcome momentum through force when that momentum is this established, this verified, this reliable. Some are doing more than accepting. They're aligning, studying your pattern not to counter it, but to learn from it. Analyzing your decisions not to predict you, but to improve themselves. Examining your consistency not to break it, but to replicate it in their own domains. The architects call this pattern adoption, when someone's approach becomes so successful that others begin implementing similar principles, not copying, adapting, not imitating, incorporating, not mimicking your specific actions, applying your general principles. They're learning from your example without becoming your example, studying your pattern without testing it, respecting your consistency without challenging it, and in doing so, they're actually benefiting from your presence. Using your pattern as template, your track record as curriculum, your consistency as standard to aspire to. This is the highest form of influence, when your pattern becomes principle that others apply, when your consistency becomes standard that others measure against, when your track record becomes benchmark that others use to evaluate their own progress. You're not teaching, they're learning, not instructing, they're adapting, not leading. They're following principles they extracted from observing your pattern. And this learning, this adaptation, this following, it's creating something unexpected. A network of people operating on similar principles, making decisions from similar values, moving with similar consistency, not because you built an organization, because your pattern was compelling enough that others chose to incorporate aspects of it, not because you recruited followers, because your reliability was attractive enough that others decided to develop their own, not because you demanded alignment, because your success was undeniable, enough that others recognized value in the principles that produced it. The architects are documenting this as leadership through pattern, when influence spreads not through your words but through your demonstrated results, when others adopt principles not because you taught them, but because you proved them, when your way becomes their way, not through conversion but through conviction generated by watching your consistency produce outcomes they want. You're creating culture without trying, establishing standards without declaring them, building movement without organizing it, simply by being consistent, simply by maintaining pattern, simply by continuing to execute while others watch and learn and adapt and apply principles they observed in your approach. And every person who adapts, every individual who applies, Every community that incorporates, they're all checking your moves, not to challenge them, to calibrate their own against them, not to counter you, to align with principles you've proven work. Something's crystallizing in the collective consciousness now, a recognition spreading through every network that's observed you, every community that's documented your pattern, every system that's attempted to predict you. You're not just a player anymore. You're a principle, not just an individual, an inevitability, not just a presence, a permanent feature of the landscape everyone else must navigate. The architects are watching this crystallization occur in real time, seeing how perception shifts, how understanding deepens, how recognition becomes acceptance, becomes integration, becomes simply the way things are now. You exist. You're consistent. You're rising. These aren't questions anymore. They're not debatable. They're not challengeable. They're just facts. Data points, reality markers, like gravity, like time, like mathematics. You don't argue with gravity. You don't debate time. You don't challenge mathematics. You accept them. You work with them. You build your strategies accounting for them. That's how they're treating you now. As fundamental reality rather than variable opponent. As established law rather than potential challenge. As permanent feature rather than temporary obstacle. And this shift in perception has created shift in behavior. They're not checking your moves to find weakness anymore. They're checking your moves to maintain awareness. Not looking for vulnerability to exploit, looking for trajectory to avoid, not seeking opportunity to attack, seeking understanding to adapt. The aggressive checking has become defensive monitoring. The hostile surveillance has become cautious observation. The strategic analysis has become survival awareness. They've stopped trying to beat you. They're just trying to coexist with you, trying to succeed in a reality where you're permanent fixture, trying to thrive in an environment where you're established constant. And the wisest ones have realized something profound, that your presence doesn't prevent their success. It just defines the conditions for it, that your influence doesn't limit their growth. It just establishes the context for it, that your pattern doesn't restrict their opportunities. It just clarifies which opportunities are viable. You've become framework, the structure within which everyone else operates, the boundaries that define the space, the constants that must be factored into every equation. Not because you built walls, because you established presence so undeniable that everything else positions itself relative to you. The architects are calling this gravitational authority, when someone's consistency creates such strong pull that everything else organizes itself in orbit. When presence becomes so massive that it warps the space around it. When pattern becomes so established that it functions as law rather than example. You've achieved gravitational mass, not physical, influential, not literal, metaphorical, not actual gravity, but something that functions similarly in social, strategic, professional dimensions. You pull, things orbit, systems organize around you, not because you're forcing them, because your mass creates natural organizational structure, because your consistency generates pull that others respond to automatically, because your pattern establishes center that everything else positions relative to. And just like actual gravity, no one debates it, no one challenges it, no one tries to defeat it. They just accept it, work with it, build their orbits accounting for it. The checking now is orbital maintenance, making sure they're at sustainable distance, verifying they're not drifting into collision course, confirming their trajectory remains viable given your gravitational influence. They're not watching you to learn how to beat you. They're watching you to learn how to exist successfully in a system where you're the dominant gravitational force, where your pull is strongest, where your influence is most concentrated, where your presence is most massive, and they're finding it's possible. That success in your orbit is achievable. That thriving near your gravity is viable, as long as they maintain appropriate distance. as long as they respect the mathematics, as long as they accept the reality that you're not going anywhere, that your presence is permanent, that your influence is established, and that trying to change those facts is less productive than adapting to them. So they adapt, they adjust, they accept, and they check every move, every decision, every strategy, making sure they're accounting for the gravitational constant that is you. Now watch what happens to those who didn't check, who didn't monitor, who didn't calculate, who thought they were exempt from the pattern everyone else recognized. The architects are documenting these cases with particular interest because they're becoming fewer, rarer. As information spreads about your pattern, fewer people make the mistake of testing it. But occasionally someone new appears, someone from outside the network, someone who hasn't received the intelligence, someone who doesn't know your track record, and they make their move, challenge you, test you, oppose you, without checking, without calculating, without recognizing they're about to become the next example. And the response from those who have been checking is immediate. Not from you, from the network, the ones who've been monitoring you, the ones who've studied your pattern, the ones who've learned to maintain safe orbit. They start warning the newcomer, attempting intervention, trying to prevent what they know is coming, not out of loyalty to you, out of recognition of reality. They've seen this before, multiple times, different people, same outcome, and they know that challenging you without understanding your pattern is strategic suicide. That testing you without checking your track record is professional destruction. That opposing you without calculating your consistency is career elimination. So they warn, they advise, they share intelligence, trying to save the newcomer from themselves, trying to prevent another example from being made, trying to stop the inevitable outcome they've witnessed repeatedly. But some don't listen. Some think the warnings are exaggeration. Some believe they're different. Some are convinced their approach will work where others failed. And they proceed. And the network watches with a mixture of fascination and dread. Fascination because they're about to witness your pattern confirm again. Dread because they know what's coming. And they proceed, and you respond. Not with drama, not with aggression, not with visible conflict. You just continue. Continue your trajectory, continue your consistency, continue your pattern, and months pass, and the network checks the newcomer's status and finds exactly what they predicted. The challenger is exactly where they started. You're 3 levels higher, no confrontation, no battle, no war, just the quiet, devastating reality that engaging with you cost them time they can't recover. Focus they can't regain, momentum they can't rebuild. The network nods. Another example made, another data point added, another confirmation of the pattern they respect. And the checking intensifies, because now there's fresh evidence. Recent data, new verification that the pattern holds, that challenging you produces predictable outcome, that testing you generates consistent result. The architects document this as reinforcement. Cycle, when new examples strengthen existing pattern, when recent confirmations amplify established reputation, when fresh data validates historical trend. Each new example makes the next one less likely. Each fresh confirmation makes the pattern more respected. Each recent validation makes the checking more thorough. Because nobody wants to be next. Nobody wants to be the most recent example. Nobody wants to be the latest data point in a pattern that's already established beyond question. So they check more carefully, monitor more thoroughly, calculate more precisely, making absolutely certain they're not accidentally positioning themselves as your next demonstration, making completely sure they're not inadvertently becoming your latest example, making totally certain they're not unknowingly stepping into the pattern that's claimed everyone who's tested it, and you remain unaware, unconcerned, unchanged, just continuing your trajectory, maintaining your consistency, executing your pattern, while around you, An entire network organizes itself to avoid becoming relevant to your attention in challenging way, while dozens of people modify their behavior to prevent intersection with your path, while hundreds of individuals adjust their strategies to account for your established pattern. You're not trying to create this effect, not attempting to generate this caution, not working to establish this respect. You're just being consistent, just maintaining pattern, just executing reliably. And that reliability has created authority. That consistency has generated influence. That pattern has established presence that nobody wants to test, that everyone respects, that all check constantly to make sure they're not next.